quietly, silently, as if the world would crumble if you laid it down, even for a moment. But today, I was told to give you a message, and no, it could not wait. This morning, as I lit the incense and bowed in meditation, I felt something stir, an unmistakable pull, a quiet voice. Not from outside, but from within, a whisper that came not with urgency, but with certainty. This message, it said, is not for the many. It's for the one who's been asking for a sign, and so, here you are. You may not have planned to be here, but your soul did, and it's been waiting for this exact moment. Let me share something with you from my own journey. A story from when I first began walking this path. I was young, ambitious not in the worldly sense but eager to find truth. I thought enlightenment would be a thunderclap of clarity, but it wasn't. It came slowly. Like the rising sun through fog, I remember sitting under the Bodhi tree, replica in our monastery garden, angry at the silence, angry that God wouldn't speak back. But the truth is, God never stopped speaking. I just never stopped talking, and maybe that's where you are now. Caught between your prayers and your pain, between your silence and your seeking. Let me ask you, when was the last time you truly listened, not to the world, not to your phone, but to your soul? Because God's language is not loud, it doesn't come with thunder, nor with flashes of lightning. It comes in nudges, gentle pulls, quiet interruptions. Like this video. Like me, here, with you now. You see, when you begin to slow down and listen, you start to remember who you truly are, not what the world has made you. You are not broken, you are simply buried beneath the weight of your own forgetting. Let me tell you what I've learned from sitting in silence for years. Real wisdom does not arrive in a rush, it unfolds slowly, like petals in the morning sun. One of my teachers once said, the world rushes, the soul remembers. And when you begin to remember, something sacred happens. The questions stop begging for answers and start teaching you instead. Let me give you a sacred image. Imagine a great river. That river is your life, and for so long, you've been trying to swim upstream, trying to make sense of the chaos, trying to fix, to force, to control. But what if, just what if, you were meant to float, not in surrender to defeat, but in trust. Trust that the river, even when winding, knows its way home. So many people today are waking up in bodies that feel like cages, in lives that feel like scripts they didn't write. They go through the motions but never feel the movement of meaning. They chase success but lose sight of stillness. That's why this message couldn't wait. Because someone you needed to hear that you're not late to your purpose. You're just early to your awakening. The timing of the universe is perfect. Even your delays are divine. The tears you cried in secret watered the ground of your becoming. The nights you felt alone were nights your spirit was being initiated into its next level of truth. And here's the truth, God doesn't speak in punishments, God speaks in patterns. And if you've been seeing the same lessons appear again and again, it's not because you're cursed, it's because you're chosen for something higher, something deeper. But chosen ones often feel forgotten before they feel found. That's part of the refining. Let me say this, it is not the loudest people who are the most powerful, it is the most grounded. And grounding requires stillness, stillness requires courage, and courage requires faith. So breathe with me now. Slow, deep, intentional breath, let it in, because this moment right now is sacred. And I need you to remember something, you are not behind, you are not too late, you are not forgotten, you are exactly where the divine needs you to be in this very breath. And though you may not feel ready, the calling is real, it's already begun, you are being prepared, you are being positioned. But first, be still, because when you are still, you begin to see, and when you see, you begin to understand. And when you understand, you begin to walk differently. Not with fear, but with faith. We will speak more of this, there is still much to unfold. The next message awaits, and I will meet you there. Until then, carry this truth like a lantern in the dark. The path may be lonely, but you are never alone. This is only the beginning. Welcome back. Dear soul, you came back, and that means something. You listened to the whisper within you that said, keep going, and for that, I honor you. This is not just another video, this is a remembering, a sacred unfolding, a divine homecoming. And today, the message deepens. In our last time together, I told you the river knows its way home, but some souls still fear the currents. Some feel like they are drowning in their responsibilities, their regrets, their past decisions. I see that in your spirit, just as I once saw it in mine. Let me take you back many years ago. Before I wore these robes, before I shaved my head and chose silence over noise, I was a young man chasing answers. I read scriptures, studied teachings, and meditated for hours. But the deeper I searched, the more frustrated I became. Because the truth I longed for didn't arrive on my schedule. I remember one night vividly. I sat alone in the monastery courtyard, staring at the sky. I had been fasting for 3 days, hoping for clarity, and then in nothing, just silence. No visions, no voices, only the sound of wind brushing past the bamboo leaves. But that night, I realized something. The silence wasn't empty, it was full. It was full of things I hadn't yet learned to hear, lessons not spoken in words, but in presence. Messages from God that could only be heard when I stopped demanding and started receiving. That is the wisdom I offer you today. Not everything sacred speaks in the way you expect. Some of God's greatest messages come disguised as ordinary moments. The stranger who smiles at you, the door that closes, the delay that frustrates you, the pain that humbles you, the memory that keeps returning. These are not random, they are invitations. But are you listening? You see, we ask God for clarity and God gives us experiences. We want answers. But we are given people, challenges, silence. It's not punishment, it's preparation. Every storm you face is not to break you, but to strip away the layers that no longer serve who you're becoming. Let me ask you something deeper now. What are you clinging to that no longer reflects the truth of who you are? A version of yourself you've outgrown, a relationship that has become more draining than divine, a belief that tells you you're unworthy of joy, peace, or grace. You are allowed to let go. And more than that, you are called to let go, because as long as you grip the old, your hands cannot receive the new. When I first entered monkhood, I was terrified. I had left behind everything: my family, my identity, even my name. But what I discovered was not loss, it was space. Space for truth to enter. Space for God to breathe through me. And in that space, I learned to hear what I had never heard before: God's voice, not booming from the clouds, but echoing gently in my breath, in the wind, in the faces of the people I met. This is how God speaks, not to us, but through life, and that life, it's not outside you. It's within you. You are not just living in the world is also living in you. And if you could pause for a moment right now and place your hand over your heart, you would feel it, that sacred pulse, that quiet rhythm. That is not just a heartbeat, that is the echo of the divine saying, you are here, you are needed, you are enough. Do you understand how powerful that is? The very fact that you are breathing is proof that God has not given up on you. So why give up on yourself? Let this be your reminder: you don't have to have all the answers to walk in faith. You only need the courage to take the next step, and sometimes that step is inward, toward silence, toward stillness, toward surrender. This path you're on, it's not about becoming something more. It's about returning to what you've always been but have forgotten: a soul clothed in wisdom, a spirit born in light. But the world will try to convince you otherwise. It will sell you fear disguised as truth. It will measure your worth by your followers, your finances, your fame. But I'm here to remind you, none of those things define you. Your value is not in your doing, it is in your being. And if no one has told you lately, let me be the first: you are enough right now. As you are, not after you fix everything, not after you become someone else, not after you reach your goal, but now, because the sacred isn't waiting for you at the top of the mountain. It's in the breath you just took. It's in the stillness of this moment. It's in the decision you made to return to this message. That decision matters more than you. No. Because it tells me you are ready to remember, ready to shed what no longer serves you, ready to stop surviving and start awakening. And as your monk, your friend, your fellow traveler on this mysterious road of life, I say this to you with open hands and a steady heart. The message has only just begun. There is more to speak of, more to reflect upon, more to receive. But for now, take this moment and let it rest within you like a seed in fertile soil. Water it with stillness, feed it with silence, protect it from the noise, because soon it will bloom into a truth that changes everything. And when it does, you'll realize something beautiful. The message was never just for you. It was meant to move through you, to awaken others, to ripple through lives you've yet to touch. You are not just a seeker, you are a messenger. Chosen, guided, held. And so, we will continue this sacred conversation soon. I will be here, waiting, when your soul returns again. Until then, walk gently, breathe deeply, love wildly. And never forget, even now, you are being divinely led. Welcome again. Dear soul, your return is sacred. You didn't come back by chance. Something within you, beneath all the noise, beneath all the distractions, felt the call. And that call, that pull, is the voice of your spirit remembering what it once knew, long before the world taught you to forget. So let us pick up where we left off, where the silence deepens, where the message begins to bloom. In the monastery, we often speak of two ways of living, one led by fear and one led by spirit. They are not always easy to distinguish. Fear is clever, it wears masks. It can dress up as ambition, disguise itself as caution, even pretend to be love. But if you listen closely, fear always sounds the same. It says, you're not ready, you're not worthy, you don't have what it takes. And spirit whispers, you already are, you already know, just trust. I remember a day many winters ago. It was the coldest day of the year, and I had been assigned fire due to tending the sacred fire we use for morning chants. I was angry. I hadn't slept, my mind was restless, I was annoyed at the silence, frustrated with myself for not feeling spiritual enough. I questioned why I was even there, but as I sat by the fire, feeding it slowly, I noticed something strange. Each time I added too much wood at once, the flames suffocated and dimmed. But when I added small, gentle pieces, just enough to let the fire breathe, it grew taller, brighter, more alive. That fire taught me a great truth. Your inner light is not fed by force, it is fed by presence. You don't need to do everything all at once. You don't need to have it all figured out. You only need to tend the flame within, slowly, daily, gently. And that flame? It's already there. It has never gone out, even when you felt lost, even when you made mistakes, even when you ran from yourself, especially then, because your spirit is not fragile, it is resilient. It has survived the darkest nights. It has danced with your pain. It has whispered you forward when your mind wanted to give up. And if you're still here, still breathing, still listening, then that means your light still lives. But to fully live from that light, something must shift. You must begin to live from within, not against yourself. You must stop waging war with your past and start making peace with it. Too often, people live in reaction to pain rather than in response to wisdom. They build walls, not realizing they're not keeping danger out, they're keeping healing from coming in. Let me ask you something sacred. What would happen if you stopped fighting your own heart? What if your sadness wasn't a weakness, but a doorway? What if your confusion wasn't a curse, but a turning point? You see, my dear one, transformation is not about becoming someone else. It is about remembering who you were before the world told you to be small. It is about standing still long enough to hear the truth you've been drowning out. Here's another truth I've lived. Every spiritual awakening comes after a collapse, a breaking, a moment where the story you've told yourself no longer fits who you're becoming. And when that moment comes, you have two choices: shrink back into the familiar or step forward into the unknown. Both are painful, but only one leads to freedom. I remember the first time I truly chose the unknown. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't come with lightning or angels singing. It came in a quiet moment, kneeling alone in the meditation hall, tears running down my cheeks, no words, just surrender. I stopped asking why me and started asking what now. And in that shift, everything changed. I stopped chasing a perfect life. I started living a peaceful one. Not because the storm stopped, but because I finally understood that peace isn't the absence of chaos. Peace is the presence of clarity within the chaos. So let me offer you something now, something you can carry into the days ahead. A mantra. Say this softly with me, or simply hold it in your heart. I am not behind. I am not broken. I am becoming. Again, I am not behind. I am not broken. I am becoming. Let these words root into you like seeds. You don't need to have everything figured out today. You only need to say yes to the unfolding. You only need to take the next true step. Sometimes that step is small: a deep breath, a quiet prayer, a single decision to choose love over fear. But that small step, it creates ripples that move the entire ocean of your life. And if you're wondering right now, but what if I fall? Let me tell you something gently but clearly. You will fall, but you will also rise. You will doubt, but you will also remember. You will feel lost, but then one day, you will look around and realize you're not lost. You've just been walking through sacred ground disguised as emptiness. The pain you feel today is not a punishment, it is a preparation. Something new is being born in you. And birth is never easy. It comes with labor, with stretching, with discomfort. But what comes after is light. So hold on. The dawn is near. The voice of God is not done speaking to you, not through thunder, not through storms, but through soft moments like this. And I will be here again, waiting for your return when your soul is ready to receive more. For now, breathe. And know this truth: the light you seek is already inside you, waiting to be remembered. Welcome back. Your return tells me you're not just listening with your ears anymore. You're beginning to listen with your soul. And that is everything. We've spoken of silence, of fear, of spirit, and now we arrive at a turning point. A deeper truth that only reveals itself when one has been quiet long enough and still enough. Today, we speak of trust, not the trust that asks for guarantees, but the kind of trust that exists without proof, the trust that stands still when everything else says run, the trust that believes something is happening beneath the surface, even when nothing looks like it's changing on the outside. That trust is called faith. You see, divine timing doesn't always look like human timing. What you call delay, the universe may call preparation. What you see as rejection, God may see as protection. And what you fear as failure may just be redirection to something far more sacred. But can you trust even in the waiting? Let me share something I rarely speak of. Before I became a monk, there was a period in my life where everything I loved was taken from me. A relationship that I believed would last forever ended unexpectedly. A mentor who had guided me passed away. A job opportunity I had waited years for was lost overnight. Everything I built fell apart. I felt abandoned not just by people but by life itself. One evening, I sat beside a river, contemplating walking away from the path entirely. My heart was heavy, my spirit was tired. I whispered into the darkness, "Why am I being tested like this?" And then the river spoke, not with words, but with movement. It kept flowing quietly, steadily, faithfully, and in that moment, a truth entered me. The river does not question the rock in its path, it moves around it, gently, persistently. And in time, it wears it down. That is the way of trust. To keep moving forward. Not in force but in flow. To believe that something sacred is guiding you, even when you don't understand the route. And here's the truth I've lived. Everything that fell away from me during that season was preparing me to be here, to sit with you now, to speak these words, to walk in purpose. Not just passion, because purpose is never rushed. It is revealed slowly. Through alignment, not anxiety. And what is alignment? Alignment is when your inner truth finally matches your outer choices, when your yes is not out of guilt or fear, but out of resonance, when your no is not rejection, but protection of your energy, your peace, your calling. The more I've trusted the flow of my life, the more I've realized you don't attract what you chase. You attract what you embody. So, dear one, who are you becoming? Not who do you hope to be one day? Not who do you pretend to be when others are watching, but who are you now, in this breath? In this moment when your heart is bare and your soul is open, because that's who the universe responds to. That's who God is guiding, and you don't have to be perfect to be aligned, you just have to be honest. The most sacred people I've met in this life were not the loudest, the most outwardly holy, or the most polished. No. They were the ones who knew their shadows and still chose to walk in light. They were the ones who stopped pretending. And so I ask you, what mask are you still wearing? The one that says, "I'm fine," when you're not. The one that says, "I'm strong," when really you're tired. The one that says, "I'm in control," when truly you're afraid. There is no shame in softness, no weakness in truth. In fact, it is only when you are honest with yourself that healing begins, because God can only meet you in reality, not illusion. Not the fantasy of who you think you should be, but the reality of who you are, flaws and all, wounds and all. That is where the divine steps in, and that is where trust becomes more than just an idea, it becomes a lifestyle. Let me give you something sacred now. A gentle practice. Something I offer to those who come to me lost in the fog of fear each morning. Before you check your phone, before you scroll through the noise, place your hand over your heart and whisper this: "I trust that what's meant for me will find me. I trust that I don't have to chase my destiny. I only have to stay aligned with my truth." Let that be your anchor, because in a world that's always telling you to do more, be more, chase more, sometimes the most rebellious thing you can do is be still and trust. Let others run. Let others force. Let others climb ladders that were never meant for them. You walk with grace. You move with intention. You let your life be guided, not grasped. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are being aligned. And even when it feels like nothing is happening, everything is. The roots grow before the flower blooms. And in this season, maybe your roots are deepening, strengthening you for something far greater than you can yet see. So trust the dark, trust the silence, trust the unfolding, and most of all, trust yourself. Because within you is a compass that never lies. You just have to get quiet enough to hear it. And when you do, you will begin to walk not with fear, but with clarity, not with doubt, but with devotion, not with chaos, but with divine confidence. You are becoming someone sacred, someone steady, someone ready, and I will meet you again in the next conversation to continue this journey deeper. There is still more to share, more to awaken, more to remember. For now, carry this peace with you like a candle in the darkness. Let it warm you. Let it remind you, you are exactly where you are meant to be, and the path ahead? It's lit by the trust you build, one step at a time. You're back, and with each return, I feel your presence growing lighter, your spirit becoming more open, your heart more still. We've walked together through silence, trust, and divine timing, and now we arrive at one of the most misunderstood, yet most liberating truths on the path: surrender, not surrender as weakness. Not surrender as defeat, but surrender as power. You see, there is a point in every spiritual journey where the ego must bow, where the mind, so full of plans and predictions, must let go. Not because it is wrong, but because it has taken you as far as it can. And now the soul must lead. But the soul doesn't lead with force, it leads with surrender. Not giving up, but giving in to something wiser than the self. Let me tell you a story, a moment that shaped the very marrow of my being. It was a summer evening, many years ago. I had just finished a long walking meditation through the hills surrounding the monastery. The sun was setting, everything was golden. The grass, the sky, even the silence felt warm, but inside me was a storm. I had just found out that my father had fallen gravely ill back home. My heart was torn. I questioned whether I should leave the monastery, return to the world, take back responsibility. I sat beneath a banyan tree, shaking not from cold, but from indecision. Then an old monk, nearly blind, approached and sat beside me. He said nothing for several minutes. We simply watched the wind move through the leaves, and then, without turning to me, he whispered something unshakable, a knowing that you were never lost, that you were simply remembering the path your soul chose. Before your name had ever been spoken aloud, you've felt glimpses of it before, haven't you? Those moments when time stopped, when your actions felt weightless, when you felt lit from within. That's your calling brushing up against your awareness. And now, with the noise quieted, you can finally hear it clearly. So let me ask you a sacred question, one I ask not just with my voice, but with the stillness between us. What do you know, deep down, that you're here to do, but you've been too afraid to honor? Don't rush to answer, let it rise like steam from hot water. It might not be something dramatic, it might not be a complete life overhaul. It might simply be a whisper, to write again, to speak the truths, to leave what no longer honors me, to heal, to serve, to love myself fully at last. Whatever that whisper is, listen, because your higher calling isn't always loud. It rarely shouts. It rarely demands. It arrives as a subtle echo in your chest, and it becomes louder only when you get quiet enough to receive it. Let me tell you a story that changed my path forever. A long time ago, I sat beside my teacher after a long period of solitude and fasting. I told him I still didn't feel worthy to teach or guide others. I was afraid I hadn't earned that right, that I wasn't perfect enough, holy enough, enlightened enough. He looked at me, gently smiled, and said, "A candle doesn't need permission to shine, it only needs to be lit." That was the moment I realized we spend far too long waiting for the outside to confirm what the inside already knows. And so we delay, we overthink, we stall our purpose behind the mask of preparation. But your soul is not asking you to be perfect. It's asking you to show up. To live aligned with what is true for you, even if it's uncomfortable at first, even if others don't understand, because clarity is not just knowing where you're going. It's knowing who you no longer are. And with that knowing, a new way of living begins. You start making choices that match your inner peace, not your outer pressure. You say no without guilt. You say yes without fear. You stop seeking and start serving. You stop trying to find your path and start walking in it. You become less attached to being impressive and more committed to being intentional. Because your purpose is not a destination. It is a frequency, a vibration, a presence. It is felt. In your words, in your energy, in your decisions, in the way you hold space for others, in the way you speak to yourself when no one is listening. And here's the divine truth. You are already enough to fulfill what you were born to do. You don't need more signs. You don't need more approval. You only need permission from yourself to begin. And when you do, when you walk in alignment with the light within you, everything changes. Not overnight, but over time. Slowly, your outer world begins to reflect your inner clarity. You attract relationships that match your depth. You step into work that reflects your integrity. You speak from your soul, not your ego. You begin to feel whole again, not because life is easy, but because you are no longer betraying yourself to survive it. And that, dear one, is the most sacred clarity of all. So let's sit here together one last time before the final page and breathe into that truth. You have permission to be fully you, to walk your calling, to release the weight, to shine without fear. Place your hand over your heart with me now and repeat, I am ready to live my truth. I no longer delay my soul's calling. I walk in alignment with who I truly am. Let that promise echo into every step you take from here. The path ahead is not without challenge, but it is without confusion. You now know who you are. And if you ever forget, return to the stillness. It will remind you. Let your life become the message. Let your presence become the prayer. Let your choices become the offering. You are ready. And I will meet you again in our final sacred conversation, where we will close this journey with a blessing, a farewell, and a reminder that endings are never endings at all. They are simply beginnings in disguise. Until then, may clarity guide your steps. May courage hold your heart. May grace follow your every breath. Next step will offer the last message, a spiritual blessing, and a closing of this sacred journey. Return when your heart is ready to receive the final light. Welcome back, dear one. You've returned for the final chapter, and in doing so, you've answered a call not just from me, but from your own soul. We've journeyed through the valley of shadows, through the hush of stillness, into the clarity of truth, and now, here we arrive at the summit of this sacred mountain. Pause with me, breathe, feel the space you've created within. Feel how different this moment is from the one you began with. You are not the same. Not because I have given you something, but because you've remembered something already inside you. This entire journey was never about learning more. It was about shedding what you are not so you could finally return to what you've always been. A being of light, a carrier of peace, a vessel of purpose. Let me offer you one final story before we close. Many years ago, in the Temple of the High Mountains, a young seeker asked the elder monk, "Master, how do I know if I have fulfilled my path?" The elder monk, whose back was curved like the hills, looked up from the floor he had been sweeping and smiled. He said, "You will know when peace does not leave you, even when everything else does." The seeker sat in silence, confused, so the monk continued, "You see, the path is not about escaping life. It's about becoming so rooted in your truth that nothing, not fear, not failure, not even death, can separate you from your peace." That was the moment I understood. The true spiritual journey is not a search outward, it is a return inward. Not to become something new, but to remember who we were before the world told us who to be. Before fear, before doubt, before titles and masks, just you, pure, whole, enough. And that is my final message for you. You are already whole. You do not need to be fixed. You do not need to be better to be loved. You do not need to chase anything to be worthy. Your value is not in what you produce. It is in your presence, your being, your essence. If God gave me one prophetic message to share with you today, it is this: you are not too late. You have not missed your path. Nothing real has been lost. All that is meant for you will arrive, not when you strive for it, but when you become still enough to receive it. So here, at the final gate, I offer you 3 blessings. First, may you remember that stillness is not the absence of life, but the presence of clarity. May you return to it often, not as an escape, but as a foundation. Second, may your heart remain open, even when the world tries to harden it, because an open heart is a courageous heart, and the world needs your courage now more than ever. And third, may you never forget that your light is not small, it is vast, ancient, and divine. It is the same light that has guided sages, prophets, and seekers since the dawn of time. And now, it lives in you. Let your presence be a sanctuary. Let your voice be medicine. Let your life, just as it is, be the most sacred prayer you ever offer. And when doubt visits again, as it surely will, return to this truth: you are a soul, briefly wearing a body, on a sacred mission to remember love. The world may not always understand you, but the universe sees you. God knows your name. And the path will unfold before you, one step at a time, when you walk it in faith, not fear. So now, we come to the close of this journey, not as an ending, but as a gentle beginning. You have walked beside me through shadows and into light, and now you walk onward alone, yet never truly alone, because every time you breathe with presence, I am there. Every time you speak with compassion, I am there. Every time you sit in silence, open your palms and ask for truth, I am there, not as a voice, but as the echo of your highest self. And I trust you. I trust the one watching this. I trust your heart. I trust the path your feet are on. You are ready now. Go live the message. Go be the miracle. And let your life shine so brightly that even the stars bow in reverence. Now rise in presence, walk in purpose, lived in peace. Thank you for walking this journey. May peace forever live in your breath and purpose forever walk with your steps. If this message stirred something deep within you, like this video, subscribe for more wisdom. Comment below, I am ready to live my truth. Turn on notifications. Your next soul reminder is on its way. Share this message with someone who needs to hear it today. Be the light and help awaken another soul.